Yeah.
Hey everyone, this is Denise and Brandy with Eternally Fit, where we share life stories from the Bible as well as from people just like you and I. So we want to mention that our podcast that we posted and uploaded to YouTube last week, well, we ended up posting it this past Monday, but it is with Brandy's friend, and it's titled Don't Let Your Problems in Life Define You. So please check that out if you get a minute. It's just such an inspiring story about how he let faith pull him through a really difficult circumstance. And then we also want to ask if you can do us a favor by following us on YouTube, hitting the like button, subscribing, just following
So the
us on
subscribing and liking, it's not for much. We just want it to get out there. We want our stories, the Bible stories to get out there, because otherwise it kind of, the more you're liking it, the more it pops up for other people.
Right. So yeah, basically like the Facebook algorithm applies to YouTube as well. And I'm not sure how that works with podcasts, but
I don't know. I don't know. We're all new to this. So, okay. Well, today we're going to continue with the book of John, and we're going to be doing, starting with chapter 4 of John for any of you following along. And we're just going to do our highlights of what we've learned, what we thought was inspirational for us. And if you guys ever have any comments of what you've learned throughout this, please, please, please comment. Let us know. We have it on Facebook. We have it, everywhere. YouTube. Where else at, Denise? Apple Podcast, Spotify.
Well, I guess the podcast you can't really comment, right? But yeah, if you're on YouTube or Facebook, we want to hear your feedback.
You guys, it makes us feel so, so good when you give us feedback, when you comment. I've gotten a couple of comments on Facebook Messenger, just people that I wouldn't expect listening to us and saying how well they like it, and it just makes my day to hear from you guys. So
it definitely makes it worth it. I mean, not that it's not worth it. We're doing it for God, but it just makes it that much more exciting to do.
It makes us feel like we're doing what's right, what's needed for God. But okay, so starting in chapter 4, this one, Denise and I were talking before. This one has a lot to do with the Samaritan woman at the well. I don't know if you guys know, but with Christ being a Jew, Jews and Samaritans, they didn't really speak to one another. I don't know why they're rivals or.
So the research that I found on that was that, I guess they said that Jews didn't really walk through this area, the area of Samaria, because a few hundred years prior, the Jews started marrying the Samaritans, or the Gentiles, and so God forbid this, but it wasn't because they were Samaritans or Gentiles. It was because of their faith. And so that's kind of why, because of their faith, is what I got from my research.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. So I know back in Luke, I know we're in John, but I thought this was very, very interesting. So we're talking about a Samaritan woman that is at the well. She's come to draw water. She's a big time sinner, which we all are, but she's on her 5th husband, right?
Yeah.
Well,
she had 5, and she was with another man.
She was with another one. And God knew that. Christ knew that. He told her, and she could not believe that. But rewind to Luke. I thought this was so interesting. So I don't know if you guys remember the story about this man that he was having a health issue. He was on the side of the road, the road, and several people walked past him and would not help him because he was I don't know exactly what it was, but even a priest walked by him, wouldn't help. And a Samaritan walked by and helped his wounds with oil and everything, and took him to an inn and paid for his room and board. A Samaritan did that. So I just thought it was interesting about the saying of be a good Samaritan.
Oh, good point.
Whoa.
I never really thought about that.
Yeah, I never did either. Help others. Yeah, be a good Samaritan.
That's a good one. Huh. Well, and some other part of research that I found was that, back then, if a woman was barren, they were not desired by men. So they this it was in the Bible recap, actually. She said maybe she was barren. Like, how do we know? Only God knows, because there had to have been a good explanation as to why she had so many husbands, and they would have maybe just left her because they wanted to have offspring. And so maybe that's what it was. Like, it just shows, nobody really knows the heart of another
Interesting.
person.
Yeah, that's an interesting. I know even when she went to go draw the water, she did it in the middle of the day. And
Right.
most of the time, the women would do it in the morning or in the evening when it was cool. She did it at noon, so nobody was there because she was disliked.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, how sad.
It's just, yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be really hard if that was the true situation. Like, she was barren. Like, oh, it's not her fault, So.
Yeah, and we don't know the story, like you said.
Right.
Only God knows.
Yeah, but it was
what they're going through.
amazing how loved and like just Jesus made her feel. And then he convicted her and she ran back to the town, right? And
Yeah.
told
Told
everyone,
other people about it.
Yeah.
She went to go after Jesus had told her all of, and in this book of John, it just says, he knew she was on her married 5 times and with a 6th man. And it doesn't go into detail about all of her life, but it does say that he had told her everything she had done. So It wasn't just that, but he had told her everything. So of course, then you're going to, believe him. And so she, left her water bucket there and ran into town and told all the other Samaritans, and they came back to him. And one of the highlights I got out of this was, after researching, was we can have a church. We can have thousands upon thousands of people come, same people probably every time. But by Jesus talking to one person, her belief just catapulted to everybody else. So she went and told that one person. That one person probably told several people, on and on. So that one person just really moved.
Yeah, it's amazing what one person can do. Yeah, it's awesome. And I remember she was, well, I'm going to put a plug in right now for PureFlix. I know I've told you about it, Brandy. So it's like Netflix, but it's PureFlix, and it has like The Chosen is on there, which we mentioned before, and it just has like good, clean, kid-friendly movies that my kids will watch, and they like them. And there are a lot of like faith-based true stories, which I love. What's that?
It's pure.
Yeah, it's just pure. But it also has Bible stories. So I was watching the book of John last night to just kind of get another perspective. And I remember her in that episode saying, "Oh, you're a prophet." Like, she thought that's how you know things. And then he's like, well, I'm actually, and she said didn't she say, I'm ready I know the Messiah is coming. And he's like, it is I who speak to you. I am he. So, pretty cool.
Well, I did find out Samaritans only believe the first 5 books of Moses.
Oh.
So, and in that's where it talks about him. I think it was Moses that said that a prophet like myself will be coming. So that's probably where she got the whole prophet thing.
Oh, that would make sense.
But yeah, when he says, I am he.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
And she was, I was just glad that she believed.
I think another thing interesting too is that they were at Jacob's well. So that well has been around for a very, very long time. And I hope one day to get into the story of Jacob and his sons and, Jacob being renamed Israel.
Oh, yeah, that's really cool.
So I hope one day we can get to that too. But
that would be cool.
So anyway, do you have any more on chapter 4?
No, not really. No. I think that's good there, unless if you have anything else.
Nope.
Okay. So moving on to chapter 5, that's the healing at the pool, the Bethesda pool. That's kind of the main story there. So, so it sounds like from from what I've read, many disabled people used to go there, like the lame, blind, paralyzed.
Yeah. And they thought that they believed that angels would stir up the water. And that's when they were supposed to get into the water, is after that had stirred it up. But they didn't know that it was actually a bubbling up from a spring that was feeding it. So they believed it was angels stirring this water. But it was a spring.
And maybe they were being healed because the hot springs have healing properties anyway, right? So
yeah, and I don't know.
Maybe some of them, maybe not a paralyzed person, but maybe some were healed and they said, "Oh, that's miraculous."
I don't know about that. I haven't done much research on that. I don't know what it would be that would be healing them. Maybe mineral,
like achy joints.
yeah. That's
tired muscles.
Oh, that sounds wonderful, though.
Yeah. Yeah. So then Jesus came up to this guy who had been there, right, for 38 years.
He had been impotent for 38 years. I don't know if necessarily he had been there, but he had been.
I'm looking about that. Like,
he had not been able to get up for 38 years. And what I found very, very fascinating was that, so he's sitting there waiting to get in this pool that's going to heal him, that he believes. And so Jesus asks him if he wants to get better. And he says, well, I do, but anytime that the pool bubbles up or gets stirred, there's somebody that gets in before me. So Jesus, of course, says, get up and walk. Pick up your mat and walk. So the mat is what he's been laying on. The crazy thing for me is, okay, you have this man that's been there for 38 years, not been able to walk, and all of a sudden he gets up and walks, right? With his mat, carrying his mat with him. So, the Jewish leaders at that time were very for the law, and it was a Sabbath, so you're not to do any works on the Sabbath. You can't even carry a mat. So the thing they seen, not that this man of 38 years got up to walk, but that he was carrying a mat. Oh, you can't do that on a Sabbath.
Yeah.
I'd be like, oh, well, you just got up to walk. I think I'm going to leave the whole Sabbath carrying your mat thing behind.
Right.
That's just crazy to me.
Yeah, I cannot imagine. And then the cool thing was he headed straight to the temple. That was the first place he went when he could walk.
And that's where Jesus met him, was there.
It had been 4 decades almost since he was able to go into the temple. Or maybe, I don't know, did he ever go? I don't know how old this man was, but he goes to worship the gods there. Or not the gods, what? He goes to worship God. And so,
yeah. Stuck on the hot springs.
Yeah. So, but something that I found I really liked is that resting on the Sabbath came from God after, which, I mean, this is a little confusing because didn't God rest on the Sabbath when he created everything?
He rested the 7th day.
Yeah. So I researched resting on the Sabbath came from God after 400 years of the Jews being slaves in Egypt. He wanted to show he's not a slave driver. But as you said, the Pharisees took this to an extreme, and they said, you can't carry your mat. They said you can't even spit on a rock because that's what the masonries did to build. So going back to the story where, and do you know what book that's in where Jesus spits in the dirt to heal the blind man?
I don't know which book. We'd have to look at that one.
Later in John or where, but it's just interesting that he chose to do that, I think, to show them, hey, it's okay. You can spit, you can do things like miracles on the Sabbath. It's okay. You know?
I think their biggest thing is they didn't believe that he was God himself. So they were still going off of the old laws from the Old Testament and trying to do what God wanted them to do back then. But yet God was here to, fulfill those laws. So, I did point out or find out a couple more things from chapter 4 that I want to highlight real quick. So, Jewish laws limited women to be divorced only 3 times. She was looked down on very much because she had already had 5 and was on her 6th.
Huh.
And rabbis don't talk to women in public. So he is a rabbi talking to a woman. So he just does everything out of the ordinary. And then Jews teach that Samaritans and everything they touch are ritually unclean. Oh, how sad. Yeah.
Huh.
So,
interesting. And those were man-made laws, of course. Like God would not think that's okay. Wow.
So I have verse 5:24 highlighted, and it says, "Very truly I tell you, whoever hears my word and believes him who sent me has eternal life and will not be judged, but has crossed over from death to life." And I just think, how easy, just believe.
Mm-hmm.
That's really what you do. You have a free gift, and just to believe.
Yeah. And you know, I guess when we did our intro or background episode, I kind of said, you know, I did always believe all my life, but I wasn't completely convicted, I guess. I don't know if that's the right way to explain it. But,
Well, and if you think
I
about
did
it,
believe, but I didn't like have that relationship.
well, if you think about it, even demons believed there was Christ. Even
Yes.
demons. And they're not going to heaven. They know he's real. But by accepting that true gift that Christ in human flesh, God came down as Christ, a human form, died on the cross for our sins.
Mm-hmm.
We are forgiven, and knowing that.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yep, that's right.
okay. So, there was something I found interesting. So, one thing, so this poor Samaritan woman, you know, she's had trials. We don't know what she's been through. Like you said, she could have been a barren woman. But I do feel like we are always on trial for Christ. We always have things. We're always on trial. And remember Pilate? We're getting off course a little bit, I am with John. But remember Pilate, when Jesus came to him? And, you know, Pilate told him, he said, "I have the power to set you free." So, but if he would have done that, then Pilate wouldn't have had freedom. Because Christ died for our freedom. So if Pilate would have given him that freedom to walk free, he wouldn't have died on the cross. But only God can do it. He would have made it happen.
That's really good. Very true.
Do you have anything else on chapter 6?
No, I don't think I have anything else.
It's the 5,000.
Yeah. Yeah, and the number I also heard is, you know, the 5,000, that was men. So it could have been up to 15,000, including women and children.
I've heard even 25,000, but
wow. Yeah, could have been. I mean, people had numerous kids, so.
Yeah. And then he walks on the water. His disciples get in the boat, and there's this big storm that comes, and he walks on the water.
3.5 miles into the lake. Here comes Jesus.
Yeah.
Like, how crazy would that be? Pretty cool. And then the next day, the people, stop me if I'm getting too far ahead, but the next day, the people who fed the bread to, they're like, where's this man? And they find he's on the other side of the lake, and they're like, how did he get over there? So they make their way around, right, to the other side of the lake. And then he says, like, you are following me because I fed you, right?
Right. So he was saying that they weren't following him because of who he was. They were following him because he provided them food.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But anyways, well, so we are getting to our 20-minute marker.
Yes.
So I'm thinking maybe we continue on with chapter 7 for the next one.
Yeah, that sounds great. Okay.
But please, guys, if you guys have any comments or anything that you've learned. You know, we're learning just like you guys.
Yes.
Each and every day we get things wrong. So if you know, there's something you disagree with us, please comment. Let us know.
Yes, we're not going to be offended at all. Like, we're going to be thankful because we don't want to be spreading disinformation. So,
yeah. All right, guys. Thanks for joining us. And then we'll try to get another podcast out here soon.
Okay.
Bye. Bye.